Time to get it soggy. I don't know what that means. Time for the facts. Here are 50 amazing facts to blow your mind. In the early 1970s, Boeing proposed an oil carrier aircraft with a 500-foot or 150-meter wingspan. It would be powered by 12 engines from the 747 design. A fleet of aircraft would work around the clock to fly crude oil from Prudhoe Bay to the Pacific coast. The Alaska pipeline was built instead. Wasps and hornets, despite being primarily carnivorous, are actually important pollinators that are good to have in your garden for reasons other than just controlling other pests. Broccoli only became available in grocery stores in the United Kingdom and Ireland in the late 1970s. The ZIP in zip code stands for Zone Improvement Plan, which has been in use since 1963 and adds $10 billion annually to the US economy. Stu Ungar, widely regarded as one of the best gin and Texas Hold'em players of all time, won an estimated $30 million during his poker career. However, he died with no assets to his name, having lost much of his money betting on horses in sports, as well as supporting his drug habit. Many species of sharks can be rotated in order to subdue them, thanks to a defensive mechanism known as tonic immobility. Multiple recent studies have shown detrimental roles played by maltodextrin in the intestinal environment, suggesting that this broadly used food additive may play a role in the rapid increased incidence of chronic inflammatory disorders. Beyonce is named after her mother's maiden name, which is also Beyonce. The Clacton spear is the remnant of a wooden spear that was crafted about 400,000 years ago, making it older than the evolution of modern humans and the oldest known example of a wooden tool created by a hominoid. Elmer McCurdy was an outlaw and was killed in Oklahoma in 1911. His body was discovered in 1976 by a film crew member in an amusement park, where it was thought to be a wax mannequin. It costs more than 2.5 cents to produce 1 penny and more than 10 cents to produce a nickel. The founder of TGI Fridays opened the first location in Manhattan in 1965 because he was single and wanted to create a place to meet women, especially airline stewardesses and fashion models. TGI Fridays was also one of the first to use promotions such as Ladies' Night. Ladies' Night. And I feel alright. Many English words and phrases are loaned from Chinese merchants interacting with British sailors, like chop chop, long time no see, no pain no gain, no can do, and look-see. John Quincy Adams partially blinded himself looking directly at an eclipse in 1791. In 1915, tipping was so unpopular that 6 states made it illegal to do so. A boy named Jerry Parr was inspired to join the US Secret Service after watching the movie Code of the Secret Service, in which Ronald Reagan plays a service agent. Parr grew up to join the service and saved Reagan, then the US president, from being assassinated. The sirens from Homer's Odyssey were never said to be actually beautiful or even mermaids. Instead, they were strange human-faced bird creatures who lured men to their deaths by promising them wisdom and knowledge of the future. Bird lady!
Follow me, I'm Bird Lady. Come on, I've got knowledge for you.
According to the International Olympic Committee, gold and silver medals are required to be at least 92.5% silver. The gold in gold medals is actually just a plating on the outside and consists of at least 6 grams of pure gold. Silver medals are made of pure silver, while bronze medals are 95% copper and 5% zinc. Contrary to the portrayal in the Looney Tunes cartoons, in real life, coyotes far outpace roadrunners. Coyotes can reach speeds of up to 43 miles per hour, while roadrunners top out at half that at 20 miles per hour.
Meep meep.
Contrary to popular belief, Americans actually have worse dental health than the British do. Swear on me mum. The Crypt of Civilization is a time capsule room that was sealed in 1940 and won't be opened until the year 8113. The creators of Game of Thrones, David Benioff and Dan Weiss, were contractually guaranteed producer credits on all Game of Thrones spin-offs. However, they declined credits of House of the Dragon and the free money that came with it because they weren't involved with it and felt the strain wasn't worth it. Leprosy is still around and affects approximately 200,000 people a year, but it's very curable and requires months of close contact in order to contract it from another person. The ancient Mesopotamians used to have a practice of using a substitute king to protect the real king from evil omens. The real king would go into hiding, and rites were performed to transfer the danger onto the substitute. At the end of the ritual, the substitute is put to death. 83% of console gaming revenue in 2023 was digital, at $44.16 billion of the global $53.2 billion. During World War II, all US dollars in Hawaii was replaced with a version that stamped Hawaii on the front and back to ensure that it was worthless if it fell into the hands of the Japanese in an invasion. The chin is unique to humans, and we actually aren't sure of its purpose. French writer Guy de Maupassant ate lunch at the base of the Eiffel Tower almost every day because he hated its design so much that it was the one place in Paris where he couldn't see it. 50 years after the last Apollo mission in 1972, only 4 of the 12 moonwalkers are still alive. Charlie Duke, Buzz Aldrin, Dave Scott, and Harrison Schmitt. After leaving NASA, Duke chose the creationist belief that everything in the universe was created by a god. Peter Mayhew, the actor who played Chewbacca, had a script in the original trilogy and would talk to Harrison Ford and the other cast on the set in English in order to cue them to say their lines. The Wookiee voice was added post-editing. The Batmobile is legally a character. When DC Comics sued a mechanic building replicas of Batman's vehicle, the courts ruled that the Batmobile has physical as well as conceptual qualities that make it distinctive and is not merely a useful article or an ordinary car. Lawsuit! Sorry, that was weird. The transistor was patented 21 years before a working one was actually created. William Lee Bergstrom was a gambler known for placing the largest bet in casino gambling history at the time of $777,000. He won and returned several years later only to win again. On his third bet of $1 million, he lost. He later unalived himself because of that. Plague Doctor costumes actually provided some protection during the bubonic plague. The waxed robes prevented fleas from clinging to the wearer's body. Stuart Little isn't a mouse. He's a normal boy in every way except that he's only just over 2 inches tall and looks exactly like a mouse. Before telephones, fire alarm boxes were located on street corners. To prevent false alarms or pranks, some boxes were designed with handcuffs to attach the alarm puller to the box, and only the firemen had a key to release them. That doesn't seem safe. The Hass avocado, which accounts for more than 80% of US avocado crops, was patented in 1935 after an accidental seedling grew fruit that Hass's children liked and brought it to his attention. During World War II, an Allied prisoner of war in a German camp could write to Rolex and request a wristwatch without immediate payment. Rolex would send them a watch and save the bill for after the war. Some women are born with a double uterus and actually have 2 periods per month and require 2 samples to be taken during smear tests, 1 of each cervix. The Pauli effect is the supposed tendency of technical equipment to mysteriously break in the presence of certain people. The effect is named after Austrian theoretical physicist Wolfgang Pauli, whose presence was associated with spontaneous mechanical failure throughout his career. The Shaggy defense is a legal defense strategy in which a person denies an accusation with the simple defense of "it wasn't me," despite overwhelming evidence to the contrary. One of the reasons that women are less likely to be given CPR than men is because people are afraid of inappropriately touching a woman's chest while administering CPR. To try to address this issue, a vest with breasts was invented to put on flat-chested CPR training mannequins. Don't be grabbing a titty, baby. Doug Hegdahl was captured during the Vietnam War, and while pretending to be stupid, was able to disable enemy trucks, memorize info of about 250 fellow prisoners, and after being released, participated in the Paris peace talks, which eventually helped to free said prisoners. A 2020 analysis found that approximately 1.8% of physicians were responsible for half of the roughly $83.3 billion paid out in malpractice lawsuits that were reported to the National Practitioner Data Bank over a 25-year period. There was satanic preschool hysteria in the 1980s, where people were convinced satanic rituals were being performed on their kids because of one woman's accusations, which led to an investigation, which pressured kids into confessing things that were not true. When writing the James Bond film You Only Live Twice in 1967, author Roald Dahl was given a formula for Bond girls. The first girl is killed by the enemy midway, preferably in Bond's arms, the second is an enemy Bond seduces who also dies, and the third survives to the end of the film. Humans, killer whales, narwhals, and a few other types of toothed whales whales are the only mammal species known to undergo menopause. Vietnam has a few unique monsters, one of which is the Mau Dai, a lady ghost with long breasts that attacks victims at night to forcefully breastfeed them until they fall unconscious. In the 1960s, prisoners in Saigon reported seeing a woman with long breasts force-feeding cellmates. The theory of plate tectonics was only validated or proven in the 1960s. On March 1st, 1504, Christopher Columbus convinced the inhabitants of Jamaica to keep provisioning him by threatening them to take away the moon. And that's it, here's the outro card. Goodbye now! Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this, please share it and leave a like. Both help me out a lot. And of course, an extra special thank you to my channel members who get exclusive access to the bloopers from this video, which is one of the clickable links on screen right now. I'll see you guys next time. Much love.